Certainly, good morning today on such a day. Actually, the sun is out. Iweather ingathi iyazama ke shame uhambelana nathi, because at the end of the day, it is starting to get a bit chilly. The flus and things are around, flying around with everybody, and everybody's kind of just trying to keep their heads above water. That being said, time for us to check out our moments in current affairs. It's 23 minutes after 9 a.m. The investigating directorate has welcomed the ruling from the Gauteng High Court ruling that unfroze 1 billion rand in assets linked to the alleged looting of Transnet by the Gupta associates. Speaking to Bongani Bingwa, ID National spokesperson Cindy Siwe Seboka says a curator will be hired to see what the monies still need to be recovered from the other associates. And this would mean that Cindy Siwe Sobeka, investigating director at the national. This is coming from Cindy Siwe Sobeka, who's the investigating directorate national spokesperson. What this means going forward is that we still need to buckle up and continue with our investigation and take this forward in terms of the criminal aspect. Cindy Siwe Sobeka has given more information, and so as the partners of the Guptas and the people who the wrongdoing has more than likely been pointed towards are having those assets which are assumed to be from ill-gotten gains removed from them. This is starting to show a trend of what kind of future we can look forward to with the prosecutions that are going to take place. A mother of two who went out for the night with friends has been left with broken bones and a mountain of medical fees. She was being dropped off at home, but the driver crushed her lower body before fleeing. She is now hospitalized in an unfamiliar province away from her children. Stay-at-home mother Charlene Drotsky from Klerksdorp Northwest was involved in a hit-and-run accident on the 2nd of April while on holiday with her fiancé Corneille Viljoen in Malmesbury, Cape Town. After spending a night out with friends, Charlene and her friends were offered a lift home by a stranger who they thought had saved the night, but the mother of two could never have foreseen the pain that would follow. She was the last person to be dropped off on the fateful night. Upon arrival, Charlene attempted to exit the bakkie, but the driver began to reverse, trapping her leg under the front wheel. While Charlene was screaming for the driver to stop, he instead tried to make his escape and drove over her waist with the front and back tire of the vehicle before leaving her on the road. Corneille came rushing to Charlene's aid after hearing the commotion and phoned emergency services, but the driver had disappeared. Meanwhile, 13-year-old Caden and 9-year-old Calden have not seen their mother since she left for Malmesbury. Police are investigating a hit-and-run accident. City of Johannesburg's power utility, City Power, has narrated how the rowdy resident attacked its technicians, slapping one of the workers while pointing a firearm. The veteran musician and producer Chico Twala was later arrested for pointing a firearm at a City Power technician on Saturday evening. According to media reports, Twala was outside his Blowboss Rand Home studios in the north of Johannesburg when technicians arrived to deal with a power outage complaint. City Power decided to pull out for the safety of our technicians after a rowdy resident threatened them. The team was responding to an outage call when they were locating a cable fault, which affected power supply to residents along the Nautilus Road Blowboss Rand. The area has been off since Thursday, City Power spokesperson Isaac Mangena told a news outlet. Without mentioning Twala by name, Mangena said at this point the resident became violent. The resident is said to have pulled out a gun, cocked it, and put it to the head of one of the contractors. He went further to slap him and choked him, pinning him to the ground. Community intervened and they rescued our team, and we decided to leave without doing the repairs. Twala has previously been widely accused of protecting his son Longwe, who has been linked to the murder of Bafana ace goalkeeper Senzo Meyiwa in October 2014. Meyiwa was fatally shot while visiting his girlfriend, singer and socialite Kelly Kumalo at the mother's home in Vosloorus, Gauteng. 5 men are on trial for the brutal murder, which has not yet been solved almost 8 years later. In the house of the fateful day, was Meyiwa Kelly and her sister Zandi. Their mother, Ntombi Kumalo Longwe, Meyiwa's friend Ntokozi Sitwala, and Tumelo Madlala, and Kelly's then 4-year-old son Christian and Tingo, Kelly's daughter with Senzo. As we continue, 28 minutes now after 9. COSATU General Secretary Begin Chalinchali said that the booing of the President Cyril Ramaphosa at the Federation's May Day event was not a personal attack. He told Eyewitness News that angry workers would have revolted against anyone perceived to have power in the government. Dozens of workers jeered Ramaphosa off the stage at COSATU's May Day rally over collective bargaining disputes in both the private and public sectors. Charlie said that the workers' desperation was behind the disruption at Sunday's rally. However, Eyewitness News understands that members of the Federation in Gauteng conceived the coordinated plan to interrupt Ramaphosa's address in Rustenburg. The workers want the president to interfere in collective bargaining disputes in the public service by directly intervening with the non-payment of wages increases to public service employees in 2020. Meanwhile, mine workers in the gold sector want him to whisper to producers to cave into their demands as the strike in the industry edges closer to a 3-month mark. Charlie said the workers took advantage of Ramaphosa's presence. They were sending a clear message to him that you are our last hope as the CEO of this government. Where is our money? He was also not concerned about the complex implications of asking a sitting president to intervene in employer-employee relations. In a request that labor insiders have described as an admission of weakness and irrelevance by unions, it's a desperate situation when workers are looking for help everywhere and think the president will be able to whisper to those because there's nothing the president can do in the private sector, Charlie said. Chief Justice Raymond Zondo has condemned the manner in which South African Police Service spectacularly arrested advocate Malisela Tefo in the Pretoria High Court, where he was representing 5 men accused of the 2014 Senzo Meyiwa murder. There was no justifiable reason why the SAPS could not have waited for Advocate Tefo to leave the courtroom and the court premises before they could arrest him. After all, as I understand the position, the warrant of arrest had been issued about 2 months earlier, and waiting until Advocate Tefo had left the court premises would not have made any difference, said Zondo. The Chief Justice said Tefo, an officer of the court, was arrested in a manner that was totally unacceptable and showed disrespect for the judiciary. Yeah, no, that was an exaggerated show of force. If anybody saw that, I think you could also see that for yourself. The hopes of a widow from Stellenbosch implicated in her winemaker husband's assassination in order to inherit his millions have been dashed. Last week, the court hammered a final nail in her coffin by applying the ancient doctrine of the bloody hand does not inherit. The murder trial of Zurena Smith, the wife of Wynand Stefana Smith, is still in the proceedings. She, together with her co-accused Derek Sate and Stephen Damon, is facing an array of charges including murder and house robbery. Smith, who feared for the wife's safety and that of the properties after an illegal occupation on his land, hired security and appointed Bradley Sean van Ailsland to guard her on his property, especially with his homestead, the Louisenhof farm. According to the indictment before the court, Van Aiselen did not take much of note of Zurena's words, but she persisted with him to set up a plan. He then allegedly told her he knew someone who could assist and approached Sate, who worked as a security guard on the farm. It is alleged the group agreeing on a staging of a house robbery in which Smith would be killed. The trio decided to meet. They needed a witness. A guest was invited for supper at Zurena and with Zurena and Smith on June 2nd, 2019, when the deed did take place. In not so nice news as well, Mommy is fighting. This is a statement alleged to have been made by Hillary Gardi, 3-year-old daughter, to family members after she was abducted on Friday in Bombela. Mayor Sbongile Makushe told Sowetan on Tuesday. Makushe, a close family friend, said she had visited the Gadi family over the weekend after finding out about the abduction. Gadi's lifeless body was found outside Mbombela in Mpumalanga on Tuesday after she went missing on April 29th. Gadi was last seen when she went shopping at a plaza in Mbombela and after her killer later dropped off her daughter close to where Gadi lives. The child immediately gave a clue to the neighbors who found out what happened to her mom. Her bloodied body was found by timber plantation farm workers about 500 meters from R532 connecting Mbombela to Sabi. The area is deserted and is mainly used by hitchhikers and farm workers. Gadi is the daughter of former EFF Secretary General Attorney Godrich Gadi. Makusha said she was devastated to learn of Gadi's passing, adding that she was at an IDP meeting when the news of her death broke. Apparently, the 3-year-old was busy saying to the family that mommy is fighting and is repeated that mommy is fighting. That's when we realized that she didn't go on her own free will, but that she happened to be there. Makusha condemned violence against women, saying the rate at which women were being killed should be treated very urgently, and it deserved any woman and urgency it deserved. Any woman can face what happened to Hillary. I'm very devastated. I don't even know what to say, she said. Gadi, who's 28, a postgraduate student and also owner of a company, was described as a young woman determined to build a successful company in SA's struggling economy. In sports, Gary Player's son, Wayne Player, has revealed that he received a lifetime ban from the Masters after his controversial marketing stunt in the last year's tournament. Wayne was caddying for his father as the now 86-year-old legend hit ceremonial opening tee shots at Augusta alongside Jack Nicklaus and Will Elder, who was making his debut as an honorary starter in the recognition of being the first African-American competitor to play in the Masters. Elder was too ill to hit a tee shot himself, but gave a speech to the gallery. However, prior to hitting the tee shot, Wayne Player posed alongside the honorary starter and held up a sleeve of balls in clear view of the camera to advertise the brand. In a recent interview with Golf Digest, Player, who's 58, admitted the stunt was tacky and it resulted in a lifetime ban from the tournament. He said, I had probably 50 texts after that, 40 of them saying I'm a marketing genius. 10 were like, what the hell were you thinking? He said. It was premeditated, but it wasn't premeditated, but it was a tacky thing. They say there is no such thing as bad publicity. I found out that's not quite true, he says. Further afield, and finally in this beautiful but challenged continent of Africa, radical Islamist Shabab militants have killed several people in an attack on a military base on the African Union peacekeeping force in Somalia on Tuesday. The pre-dawn attack targeted a base housing Burundian ATMIS soldiers near the village of Sil Baraf, northeast of Mogadishu. They launched the attack with a car explosion before a heavy exchange of fire, he said. Shabab gunmen attacked the base early in the morning. They were loud explosions and automatic weapons fire. The Burundians left the base and entered the Sil Parif village before helicopters came to provide air support. Tuesday's attack comes less than a week after Parliament appointed the two speakers of the two chambers, a key step towards the elections of Somalia's president. The election period has been marked by violence and an intense power struggle at the top of the state, notably between President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed and nicknamed Farmajo and his Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Roble.
We are extraterrestrial. We are KNR.
You're listening to the sound.
Sound good together, huh?
On KNR.